If you want to find out about the power structure, you got to go out there and kind of bump up against it. Power is a word that Americans are just very uncomfortable with. We're willing to talk about influence, and what we basically like to believe is that individuals and groups can join together to influence specific issues. But power is something that happens in Europe. It's part of the whole American experience to put no emphasis upon the idea of social class and to put no emphasis on the idea of power. I think that it comes out of classic liberal tradition and out of American history of rebelling against the king in the American Revolution, so that the idea that there is a power structure and a social structure is then something that we want to ignore. We always stay at the level of individuals and groups, and we never talk in terms of long-standing institutional structures, which sounds pretty abstract, but that gets down to things like corporations or foundations that for 60 or 80 years have been giving out great amount of money to influence directions that policy take. I think that whole kind of level drops out of our thinking, and I think that our educational system does reinforce that. And basically, I started out in I think a good old American way by trying to trace individuals in their activities. And what I found standing behind these individuals, I believe, are large corporations, large foundations, a series of research institutes, a series of policy discussion groups that make it so that a David Rockefeller is not merely an individual, but is in fact constantly involved, whether it's with a bank or his foundation or policy discussion group like the Council on Foreign Relations. And then one begins to see that there's an ongoing institutional structure. And so that even then, when David Rockefeller retires, you see that the people that now run Chase Manhattan Bank, that now are the directors of the Council on Foreign Relations, continue to be the people that run the country. So that when you get a little time perspective on it, you start to see the individuals change a little bit, but that they come from the same social background and they come from the same large institutions. So I tried then to find that structure that stood behind our individual actions. I think that there very definitely is an upper class in the United States, and indeed that's been the starting point of my research, is to start with social clubs, exclusive private schools, summer resorts, to start with what we can see if we will but look. To see these people as a set of interacting and intermarrying set of families who have developed a whole set of social institutions that preserve their way of life. Once we have located these various schools, clubs, resorts, retreats, debutante balls, then we can understand the historical continuity of social upper class in America. It's my belief that about 0.5% of Americans are part of what I would call a social upper class. And these people own about 20 to 25% of all the privately held wealth in the United States. That is, if we took all of your wealth, which might be your car, your house, your insurance policy, if we threw in your guitar, everything, we took all of that wealth plus the stocks and bonds and real estate in America, we put all that in a big pile, 20 to 25% of all of that, 0.5% of the people have that in the United States. And what my thesis basically says is that those people that have that 20 to 25% of all the privately held wealth are not mere individuals that are scattered here and there and are kind of rare and don't know each other, but in fact they are closely knit. They know each other, they see the world the same way, they do discuss with each other the kinds of policies that they think would further their way of life. So in that sense, we then talk about them in this more sociological, abstract sense, that they're not just families, because in fact there are these ongoing institutional kinds of structures, and they are structures that do matter, and they make a difference to a lot of Americans as they attempt to emulate these people, as they attempt to become part of these institutions and so on.